Hello everyone, and welcome to another decisions training video. Today we're going to be covering some of the best practices around setting up message queues. So, as a quick refresher, message queues are going to be a component of software that enables asynchronous communication between different parts of a system by acting as a temporary holding place for these messages. Decisions can integrate with message queues, allowing for multiple calls or workflows to be processed when available. Some examples of message queues that decisions can utilize are Amazon SQS, RabbitMQ, IBM Message Queue, and many, many more. So, let's talk about that utilization. When you're setting up a message queue, something to note is that you're going to have a message handler flow. And this is going to allow you to subscribe to the messages from the message queue. This flow is going to process these messages on asynchronous threads to handle the queue. Now, when you are setting these up, there's something you get to specify called an active flow count. And this can be specified under the jobs and events section going under messaging and queue handlers. This is what corresponds to how many active threads are being created to process this particular queue item. So that is when you create this flow, how many instances of this flow do you want running at once in order to take in messages from the queue? Now, here's where we get to our best practices involved with this. And the first one is you have to be mindful of your active flow count. This is going to correlate directly to threads that are utilized to execute your message handler flows. This means that it utilizes a system's threads to execute. Therefore, if you're trying to set up an active flow count of 8, you're going to be utilizing more threads than if you were to set up an active flow count of 2 within your decisions server. Now remember, this is the server thread. So it's important to know what your environment's resources are capable of when you're setting up the active flow count. Now, if you're in a clustered environment, you have to be aware that it's going to pull threads from all of the different servers involved in your cluster to execute the message queue. This means if you have a cluster environment that has a job heavy backend server that might be utilizing a lot of threads as well, you have to be sure that you're setting a message queue count that won't interfere with that process. The positive side of this is it means that in theory you have more servers to be able to process these across, giving you more threads. Now, the other best practice I want to point out is involving asynchronous steps. You don't want to use these inside of message handler flows. The message handler flows are already being processed asynchronously. So by utilizing asynchronous steps, you are going to be exhausting more threads trying to run the same job. Remember, this is already processing asynchronously, and that queue is being handled by whatever message queue you've integrated with in decisions. Now, you're going to get an error in the logs if you try to utilize an asynchronous step inside of one of these message handler flows. So that means such steps to avoid would be the go async, any sort of assignment or showing a form, start link flow async, run flows for list, as well as a few others. So when you are designing your message queues to efficiently handle incoming traffic, you'll want to be aware of these two practices when you are creating them. Now, if you're curious about how to integrate with a message queue, check out the video right below. That's going to go over the basics of integrating with Decisions message queues. Thank you very much for watching, and we hope this helped.